Hello, everybody. Last time we saw Arjun coming towards the end of his arguments, and his last few were Patanti Pitaro Hesham Lupta Pindo Daka Kriyaha. We saw Lupta Pindo Daka Kriya. We are traditionally, we are supposed to do this Shraddha Karma for our ancestors. And it is a means of remembering them. It is a means of respecting them. It's to indicate continuity in life. They were there. We are here because of our ancestors, and our children will be there because of us. So it sort of indicates a continuity in generations. And if the young people will all be dead because of the war, we'll be killing them, then there will be nobody to do this tradition, which is important. And that is also a minus point. It's not good because we'll be killing them. And then he talked about the destruction of Jati Dharma and Kula Dharma. I told you Jati, species. And here it is only Manusha Jati because on, the animals and plants don't have anything, but animals also don't have a dharma as such. So Manusha Jati, human race, is endowed with an intellect. And so life must be guided by the intellect. But now there is nobody to be. Family itself is getting destroyed. So obviously people are going to not be acting like humans. They're actually going to act like animals now because, you know, this thing. So that will be destroyed. And then Kula Dharma, I told you, Kula Dharma is Varnashrama Dharma. And I just completed this, reading this book, Life and Day the Indian Way. On the last page, Swamiji has given a chart, very nicely put, about the four ashramas. So there is the Brahmacharya ashram, the Grahastha, the Vanaprastha, and the Sannyasa. And she says that up to age 5, the child is really not in any one of these ashramas. I told you a child who's born is considered Shudra anyways, because there is no culture, there is no doership also is not there, etc. So 5 to 25 years is a student or Brahmacharya. Place, so she's given 4 this thing, place and then goals, pursuits, and then life characterized by these are the categories. So the place of a Brahmachari is with family at home or school/college or Gurukula. Okay, so a Brahmachari student is either living at home or is living in a hostel. The Grahastha householder, 25 to 55 years, she has put, with family at home. So he is living with his family, the Grahastha. Senior citizen, which is a Vanaprastha, 55 to 75 years category, with spouse at home, forest or hermitage, Vanaprastha. So this is generally with spouse at home. One question I had been asked long time back by a lady who was in Vanaprastha. She said, they say Vanaprastha, the literal meaning of Vana is Vana. Vana is forest. Prastha is Prasthan, departure to the forest. And she said, in this modern day, like where is there a forest where we can go? So how does this apply to us? So this Vanaprastha, please remember that in the house, you have to have a withdrawal. You stay in your own house. We are not asking you to go to some forest, you see. So if you are staying with your children, with your son, daughter-in-law, whatever, that's okay. But don't interfere in their matters. That is what Vanaprastha, going into the forest is like a mental withdrawal. It is not a physical withdrawal that you have to leave and go. If you can live independently on your own and the children are living independently as it is in this country, that is fine too. But if you are living with your children, it's okay. It's okay. It's not that you're not in Vanaprastha. But every single thing that that daughter-in-law is doing, don't keep an eye on it. Don't be after that woman. You're like, oh, you did this. And all that has to be withdrawn. And then Vanaprastha is fine. And renunciate or sannyasa is 75 to 100 years. That time life expectancy was 100 years. Even now we find that life expectancy has increased. without family, wandering, or hermitage. Okay, so this is now sannyas ashram is basically there should be a complete withdrawal, which is like not for, like, you know, doesn't have to be for us. It could be, it would be nice, but anyway, the goals, which is purushartha for a student, is dharma. There are 4 purusharthas that Vedas give us, right? Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So for a student, it is dharma. Dharma means his way of life, living. So maximum studies, he must follow his dharma alone. A householder, dharma, artha, and kama. So that means a householder, artha is wealth. So he has to earn. The student brahmachari doesn't have to earn. The grahastha has to be supporting the student. So dharma, he earns wealth and then fulfills his desires in grahasthashram. And in vanaprastha, it is only dharma and moksha. So obviously it is a retirement age. So you're not earning, but you are following your, see, dharma is common in all 3 ashramas. So there is dharma and moksha, and sannyas, it is moksha alone. So where even the dharma doesn't then apply to if you're a real sannyasi. And then the pursuits for a student are empower life with a holistic education of studies, spiritual practices, service. That is the pursuit. For a grahastha, support the rest, and the rest means all the other 3 ashramas, by earning and service, and empower with spiritual practices, complete worldly duties. So all your worldly duties have to be completed. You have to also earn, and you have to earn, I've always told you, you earn for your own family plus a little bit more. So you can do charity, you can support the student, you can support the seniors at home. All this thing falls on the grahastha. So the grahastha is the only ashram where you are earning. And then senior citizen is spiritual practices, serve society. So here comes, you know, volunteer work. There's so much volunteer work that is required in this country. If you can, charity, you can do charity. So all that. And renunciate is only spiritual practices. So a renunciate is exempt from volunteer work, anything, because then there has to be complete renunciation. And the life is characterized by, for a student, it's study and discipline. Householder, work and responsibility. Senior citizen, vanaprastha, austerity. And sannyasa, renunciation. Okay, so this is a beautiful, beautiful chart that she has given, which I actually, after I did last week, I completed this book. And then I thought, oh, this is worth reading it in class. So this Kula Dharma Shashvataha, and this is eternal. This has come from the Vedas. So it is eternal because Vedas are eternal. That's why the Shashvataha word is there. This will all get destroyed. This is what he's saying, Arjun is saying. That whole system will get destroyed because there is no family, then there'll be only students and women and nobody to earn, all that. And that's what he is saying here. Okay. And then we say that we say means Manusmriti says that if the family dharma, if these dharmas are not followed, then this person goes to hell. Narake niyatam vaso bhavatityanu. We have heard that when this utsanna kula dharmanam, when this family traditions are destroyed, and family means they are not followed. Tradition never gets destroyed. Once again, I'm repeating, tradition never gets destroyed, but if nobody is following that tradition, then that tradition is as good as destroyed. So if there is nobody following that, they will go to hell. And this is what we have heard from where? Manusmriti. So this is all coming from Manusmriti. Also, please remember that all these arguments were the ones that were put forth by Dhritarashtra on the previous day of the war. On the previous day, Dhritarashtra had sent all this message to the Pandavas, and he had targeted Arjun because he also knew the 5 brothers. He knew that the older 2 brothers are not going to be affected. He knew the younger 2 brothers are not going to be affected. He wanted to target Arjun. Arjun was targeted. Arjun started thinking and went into this delusory thought. And then we saw ahobata mahat papam kartum vyavasatavayam. Oh, thank God. Alas, we are now saved from this sin. Because that is the sin we would have done, because they would have sinned, because their family traditions will get lost, but we would have been the cause for that. So which means we also have sinned, we would have sinned. And you know why would we have committed this sin? For just some little pleasure of kingdom. That's what it is. Yadrajya sukhalobhena. Sukhalo, lobha, greed. Greed for some little happiness. Even 3 worlds I don't want. Little happiness of this little kingdom for this such a little thing. Now, such a big thing we are doing. Such a big bad thing we are doing for just a very, very little thing. That's what he said. Hantum swajana mudyata. Kill our own people just for this little bit of happiness, little bit of kingdom. Very, very, thank God. That's the thing. Thank God. We did so much thinking and now we have come up with this. We should not fight. Now he absolutely concludes in 46. Yadi mama pratikaram shastram shastra panayah dhartra. No. Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastra panayah dhartra rashtrarane hanyuhu tanme kshemataram bhavet. If the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, slay me, unresisting and unarmed in the battle, that would be better for me. Means I will drop my weapons, let them hold weapons, means, look how great I am. Huh? Look at my sacrifice. I am dropping my weapons. They can have their weapons. Means I will apratikara. I will not resist at all. Why? To prevent us from sinning. Because if I resist and if I pick up, then I am the one that will be sinning. We will be the one, we will be the sinners. And so what a great sacrifice, Bhagwan, I am doing. Let me do this sacrifice. Okay. One thing that we have to remember, that Veda scriptures say we are all that supreme reality. We should never have self-pity, and we should never have pity for others either. Why? Because not only am I Satchit Ananda, other person also is Satchit Ananda. So you cannot have pity. He's having self-pity, which is wrong. You're insulting yourself. You're insulting the supreme reality by having pity on yourself and having pity on others. If you have pity on somebody else, you need to work. Why are you feeling sorry for them? Why are you feeling pity for them? Try to alleviate that sorrow, which means work. We don't work. We don't do anything to alleviate the sorrow. We just have pity. Poor thing, poor thing, poor thing, poor thing. How sad, how sad, how sad, how sad. That's it. Nothing further. If you really think that's sad, then go to work, go to serve society. If you're feeling sad that the food bank is now suffering so much because there are so many people, then go serve in the food bank or give food bank money or donate food. Don't just say chuk, 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 chuk. That is not, this is what he's doing. So sorry. I am so grateful. I am happy that I have prevented us from sinning. This is his conclusion. Okay. Sanjaya Uvacha Eva Muktvarjuna Sankhe Rathopasta Upavishata Visrajya Sasharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha. Sanjay said, having thus spoken in the midst of the battlefield, Arjuna sat down on the seat of the chariot, casting away his bow and arrow with a mind overwhelmed with sorrow. Overwhelmed. Incorrect. Overwhelmed. This is Sanjay's conclusion. Evam. This word evam carries the load of verse 1 to 46. Thus, by saying thus means, remember you asked me this, he's talking to Dhritarashtra, remember that, he's talking to Dhritarashtra. So when he says thus, this, it entire 46 verses have to come to our mind. Thus, you asked, I knew your question was not very simple, because you're getting the reports of what is happening in the war every day. So your question was not very simple, saying, oh, what are my children and Pandavas doing at the war? You knew what they were doing. You knew how many deaths were happening, how many injuries were happening. You knew how much loss was happening. So your question was not that. Your question was, why has Bhishma fallen, when I had prepared the perfect ground and demoralized Arjun? What has happened that Arjun has suddenly got so much inspiration, and then Arjun started fighting, and now on the 10th day, even Bhishma he has killed, because he took Bhishma out of the war. Even though Bhishma had not died on that day, he had taken Bhishma out of the war. That was it. So, and why did that happen? Because your son spoke out of line. Not only did he speak out of line, he spoke the wrong things. He demoralized his own people by telling Dronacharya, who is his guru, if you tell your death is standing on the other side, how does the guru feel? First of all, he's talking out of line. He has not been asked to speak, but he has spoken because of his Rajasic tendencies. Then we saw Arjun coming up. Arjun, first, correct behavior. Why? Because he didn't open his mouth. He didn't think until Bhagwan had blown his conch. But then whatever that you had planted on the previous night had sprouted in the middle of the night, all the seeds. And now he went into this spate of incorrect thinking. And now he has come to a stage where he's gone from sattva, he's dropped to tamas. Why tamas? Because he's sitting down, his bow and arrow is on the floor, he is overwhelmed with sorrow. All this is tamasic. Because, and he has concluded that this war is not necessary for just a little bit of kingdom, which is nothing. Why should I be killing anybody? They can come and kill me. I will not resist. And so this whole thing is thus. That word thus, evam, okay, is complete. The fall of Arjun, the Rajasic nature of Duryodhan, and of course, he can't say tamasic, but it is the tamasic nature of Dhritarashtra also. But that is what. Tamas is attached to money or wealth or objects, rajas to power, remember, and sattva to people. And this sattva is actually very difficult. The most difficult to give up is sattvic mamata. Because sattva itself starts giving us ego. This is what Arjun, see how good I am. I recognize that this is sin. This is sattva. This sattvic mamata is what gets everybody. Tamasic and rajasic is one thing. And sattvic mamata makes you weak. Rajas and tamas will make you strong. Look at Duryodhan. He's actually fought the war. He was the last of the Kauravas to die. The sons, out of the 100 sons, he was the last one to die. He remained till the very end. So it's very strong. Tamasic attachment, Dhritarashtra, strong. Mind is very strong in the beginning. Later on, there is complete destruction. Sattva, mind is very weak in the beginning. Later on, it will rise. This is the difference between sattva and rajas and tamas. That's why rajas and tamas are considered as impurity. Sattva is considered as purity. But then this purity to become impure doesn't take time. That's where the difficulty is. The minute I say how good I am, I've fallen. It is because of sattva that I am doing good. That is the problem there. I am doing whatever practices or whatever charities or what I am. But the minute I say it, or the minute I say, look, I am doing, but he is not doing, I fall. This is what has happened to Arjun. Now here, the way, if you look at the picture, this picture, Bhagwan is turning his head back and talking. Now Bhagwan spoke for 3 hours. So imagine anybody sitting like this and talking for 3 hours, will it be comfortable? So the way Sanjay has described this rathopasthas, the ratha, the chariot is such, the horses are there. Okay, first let's start with the horses. There are the 4 horses. Then there are the reins. So in between the horses and the charioteer, there is a partition. That partition is called as Rathopastha. Okay, so there is a partition there. Then sits the charioteer holding the reins. Behind the charioteer also there is a partition, and then behind that partition is a seat where the Rathi, that means the owner of the chariot, is either sitting or standing. When they are in the war, actually the Rathi is standing. Arjun will be standing. During the war, Bhagavan will be the charioteer will be sitting because he is controlling the chariot, whereas the warrior is standing. He cannot sit and shoot arrows. So he's standing, but there is a seat there where he can sit. Suppose if they're going from one place to another, the Rathi, the chariot, the owner of the chariot can sit. So Rathopastha is that partition between the horse and there is the partition there so that the horses don't kick the charioteer. There has to be something to prevent them from kicking. And what Sanjay is describing is that Arjun sat on that Rathopastha. So now you can see, so Bhagwan is facing the horses, Bhagwan is holding the charioteer, the rein, sorry, and the partition is between Bhagwan and the horses, and Arjun has turned and come and is sitting. So Arjun's back is to the horses and Arjun's face is towards Bhagwan. Do you understand this? Because Bhagwan is the one that is going to be speaking for 3 hours now. So Bhagwan cannot, he's in human form. I mean, Bhagwan can do anything, but he's in human form. A human being cannot be sitting like this. I cannot sit like this and talk to you, right? For 3 hours. So this description that Arjun is giving here is slightly different from what you see in the picture, because in the picture you see he is behind Bhagwan. Arjun is behind Bhagwan and Bhagwan is turning and then talking to him. But it is not like that. Okay, in the description of this. And Visrajas Sasharam Chapam Shoka, that you see in the picture you don't actually see, but in his hands the bow is not there. Arjun's hands are empty, right? He's just folded his hands. So the bow has fallen down, Gandiva has fallen down in the chariot. I actually have a sandalwood chariot, and in that they show a little bow on the floor. I honestly do, right? So, but there also they show like this only. Bhagwan is turning and Arjun is sitting there, but the bow is on the floor. So that's why this bow has fallen, and that indicates his tamasic state of mind. And Shoka Samvigna Manasaha, he's overwhelmed by sorrow. All right. Conclusion. So now Om Tat Sata, there is this Pushpika. Om Tat Sata iti Srimad Bhagawad Gita su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama Prathamodhyayaha. The first thing to note is that this Pushpika was written by Madhusudan Saraswati ji, who wrote the Gita Dhyana Shlokas. So the Pushpika is not there in the original Mahabharata. In the original Mahabharata, the 700 verses are straight in one after the other. There is no break. Bhagwan is not going to say, okay, chapter 1 over, now let me start chapter 2. Bhagwan has not said that. It's a continuous dialogue that was going on between the two of them. So this has been added, but Madhusudan Saraswati ji also was a great Advaitin master. So we accepted. Gurudev has accepted them. We also accept. So at the end of each chapter, you will see exactly all the words will be same except this Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which is the name of this chapter. That will go on changing. Purushottama Yoga, all these that name will change. So we will explain the entire thing now. Om Tat Sata is just remembering the Lord. Like before every mantra, we have Om Sahana Bhavatu, or Om whatever. Om is a remembrance of the Lord, Om Tat Sat. Even at the end of the pledge, our pledge, Chinmaya Mission pledge, which by the way, I hope everybody knows that pledge was taken at the inauguration ceremony of the US President by Dr. Richa Agarwal, representing Chinmaya Mission Washington DC Center, a great moment of pride. And she quoted the 2 verses from chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, the ladder of fall. All right, so it's a great moment for us. So Om Tat Sat is remembering the Lord. Iti means full stop. In Sanskrit, there is no period. Like in English language, we have a dot, which is considered as a period, right? In Hindi, we draw a line. Marathi, we draw a line. That is a full stop. So iti means full stop in Sanskrit. There is no dot or there is no line in Sanskrit. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu. Srimad Bhagavad Gita can be taken in two words. It can be two meanings, two aspects. Srimad Bhagavata Gita it can be, or Srimad Bhagavati Gita. So Bhagavata Gita, when we say, it becomes masculine gender and spoken by the Lord, by Lord Narayan. We saw that even in our Gita Dhyana shlokas also. The first verse says, who spoke it? Actually, Bhagwan spoke it. So even though we see, oh, but we see Sanjay watches, so Sanjay spoke it, should not be understood like that. Originally, it was spoken by Bhagwan Shri Krishna, and Sanjay reported it. Sanjay is only a reporter who is repeating what Bhagwan had originally said. So the original Bhagavad Gita was told by Shri Krishna. So Bhagavat Gita becomes masculine, and if you take it as Bhagavati Gita, she becomes the mother. So either way, so if you take it as Bhagavata Gita, masculine, then because it is spoken by Shri Krishna, it is always said that when you chant Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan takes Nam Avatar on your tongue. That is the basic reason that Bhagavad Gita should be chanted, or any verse. And when we come to chapter 15 has got only 20 verses. And the reason that that chapter is, chapter 15 is the sort of the heart of Bhagavad Gita. Or the entire Vedantic teaching is in 15, and the entire essence of the 18 chapters is in 15. And therefore, if the 15th chapter is chanted, it is like you have chanted the entire Bhagavad Gita. The entire Bhagavad Gita takes 3 hours. It took 3 hours for Bhagwan to tell this. If you go at normal speed, it'll take 3 hours. In Sandipani, we used to go at like bullet train speed. So we could do it in 2.5 hours. We were like just thud. But if you go at a normal speed, but we don't have 3 hours now. This is Kali Yuga. We don't have 3 hours every day. Though there are people, Swami Shivatmananda's mom, she gets up apparently at 3 o'clock every morning, and the first thing she does is chants the whole Gita. But she gets up at 3 o'clock. She's in sannyas ashram, so it's possible for her to do. But so if we don't have that time, so do 15 chapter. It's only 20 verses. It takes exactly 5 minutes to chant. It is, if you chant that every day, once you have it memorized, it's very, very easy. And it will, that means Bhagwan is taking avatar on your tongue. This yada yada dharmasya must not be understood that in some time and somewhere he will come. No, every moment he can come, take avatar in your own heart, in your own mind. And that is how it is. You remember him, he takes avatar in you. You chant Bhagavad Gita, he takes avatar. You must have this faith. Okay. So either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavata Gita, female, which means she is the mother. And the mother always will tell whatever is good for the child. So if you are a child of Bhagavad Gita, follow Bhagavad Gita. She's not going to steer you wrong. Bhagavati Gita. And what is this Bhagavad Gita? Upanishadsu, it is the essence of the Upanishad. So it is Upanishad. This also we have seen in the Dhyana shlokas. The Upanishads are compared to the cows, and the essence of the cow is the milk. So the milk is Bhagavad Gita, and the milk was first given to the calf, who is Arjuna, who was very pure, of pure intellect, pure heart. And now I told you, the cow will never give her milk to anybody first before her calf has drunk it. So Bhagwan gave it to Arjun, the calf, and now it is available to us as well. Okay, so it is an essence. It is in Hindi, nichod word is there, right? Nichod. It is the nichod of the Upanishads, or it is the essence of the Upanishads. And what do the Upanishads talk about? Means what is Bhagavad Gita talking about is Brahma Vidyayam. So this, By the way, Gita Su and Upanishad Su is plural, because in Gita there are multiple chapters, multiple verses, and Upanishads, there are many Upanishads and many mantras. So both of this are plural, those who know Sanskrit grammar, but Brahma Vidyayam is singular. So when these two are plural, Brahma also should be plural, but it can't, because there is only one Brahman. There cannot be multiple supreme realities. There can be multiple mantras, there can be multiple verses explaining the same reality to indicate that the Bhagavad Gita Su, Upanishad Su plural, Brahma Vidyayam singular. Okay. And what is this? Yoga Shastra. It's Shastra science. It is a science of yoga. What is yoga? Yoga coming from the word yuj, to join. It is a science for us to be joined to the higher. So it is a yoga shastra. It is a science of joining. And who do we join with? Brahma Vidya. So the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is an essence of the Upanishads, and what is the subject matter of the Upanishads is Brahma Vidya. And what is this chapter doing for us is, it is a science which will join us to that Brahma Vidya via Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. So it's a means of joining. And then what is it? Sri Krishna Arjuna Samad, Samyak Vada. So there is Samvad, dialogue, and then there is Vada, then there is Jalpa, and then there is Vitanda. There are 4 types of arguments that can happen between two people. So Samvada is the best. Samvada is one, not best, but Samvada, this is Samvad. Why? Because one person is admitting that you know more than me. So the one person is becoming a disciple to the teacher. So there is a student and disciple, and the student is asking questions, and then it becomes a dialogue. And the student, the intention of the student is to know something, know the truth. In this case, know the truth. Or it could be even in your ordinary subjects also, you can say, I want to know something about physics, so you go to a physics teacher. So it is Samvada is a dialogue between student and teacher. And the idea, the intention of the student in his mind is to know, genuinely know. In this case, Arjun genuinely wants to know what his dharma is, which we will see in the next chapter. He genuinely wants to know what he should be doing. So he is surrendering to Shri Krishna. And surrender indicates that you know more than me. Because otherwise, and then it becomes a samvada. Okay, so samyak vada. So that is number 1. Vada, what is there? Vada is between two equals. So both of them are equal, and both of them, however, are trying to come to a definite conclusion. And this vada we see happening between Bhagwan Shankaracharya and Mandan Mishra, who later on became Sureshwara Acharya. So Mandan Mishra was a Karmakandi. He was a student of Kumarila Bhatta, sorry. Kumarila Bhatta is he is the Shankaracharya of Karmakanda. And Karmakandins always thought that everything can be gained through action, which Bhagwan Shankaracharya opposed. So he was in Vada, in discussion. See, there is Samvada is dialogue, this Vada is discussion. So he invited Mandan Mishra for a discussion to discuss whether karma is superior or Vedanta is superior. Whether karma can take you to moksha or Vedanta alone can take you to moksha. So there was a vada, a discussion between them for 18 days, and Sureshwaracharya lost. His name was Mandan Mishra at that time. And in those days, whoever lost the discussion had to become a student of the one who had won. And so Mandan Mishra became a student of this thing. He became himself a great Advaitin. He wrote commentaries on Bhagwan's commentaries he has written, or Bhagwan's books he has written commentary. Atma Bodhi has written a commentary. Then he wrote Naishkarmya Siddhi. So there are a lot of texts, this thing. So then there is Jalpa and there is Vitanda. Jalpa is when one person really has no point of view. Yeah, Jalpa and Vitanda. I think one of these two, one is where one person has absolutely no point of view, so he will go on opposing the other person. So two people were talking like this, and one person was going on opposing. Finally, the first person got really bored and tired, and he said, you know what, okay, I agree to whatever that you're saying. Then this guy said, now I'm saying the opposite. So there is no point of view of one person, and he's just this thing. And in Vitanda, that's Jalpa. Vitanda is where he is only interested in making his point true. So it's my way or no way. So these are these four type of discussions that happen. In that, this is called as a samvada. It is not a vada or a jalpa or a vitanda. It is a samvada where one person has surrendered to the other person. In this case, Arjuna to Bhagavan Shri Krishna. He has admitted that you know more than I do, and please guide me. And this is what is required. And the name, Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama. The name of this chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Now, Vishada means sorrow, and yoga is joining to the higher. So the reason it is called Vishada, because when we are sorrowful, we have got two ways to go. Either we go Godward or we go dogward. So when I am in sorrow, I can go into drugs, into drinks, I can fall. But where that sorrow becomes a means for me to join, where that sorrow becomes a means for me to surrender, where I come to a stage of sorrow where I say, oh Lord, you know, okay, there is nothing more that I can do, and now I'm going to surrender. We see that happening for Draupadi also. She tried and she tried to protect herself, and finally she said, impossible, I can't do this. Same thing is happening to Arjun. So Vishada, sorrow also can take us Godward. Actually, quite a few people join the mission when they're hit by sorrow. And when they're hit by sorrow, they come to Swamiji's saying, you know, this is what has happened, now what to do. Point is, if we are already on the path, when sorrow hits us, we will be well prepared to face it. But as long as everything is going on very nicely and positive, people don't even think of this. It's Bhagavad Puran says that the grace of the Lord is the way it works is, when it rains, the Lord has already given you an umbrella. So if it rains, you just open your umbrella, you're safe. But when you're not on this path, you don't have the umbrella. And now it started raining, and now you're running helter-skelter to look for an umbrella. And most people come like that when they're hit by sorrow. But at least when they're hit by sorrow, Gurudev was asked, you know, all these people are coming to you like this. So Gurudev said, who goes to the hospital? Only sick people. So only sick people should come to me. If they are normal, no need to come. Those who are sick, those who are in sorrow, please, I am here. So we can also, whenever sorrow hits us, surrender. Surrender. That is the best thing. Okay. So that's why this, for Arjuna, this Vishada, this sorrow itself became a means to join with the Lord. And therefore this chapter is named Arjuna. That's why I told you every chapter will have a different name. The rest of the words will exactly be the same, but the chapter will be named differently. Vishada Yogo Nama Prathama Adhyaya. Prathama, the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And that will also change. Ditiya Adhyaya, Tritiya Adhyaya, that Panchadasho Adhyaya. So that Adhyaya will change. Adhyaya chapter. So this is what it means. Om Tat Sata, a remembrance of the Lord, full stop iti. Then Srimad Bhagavad Gita, so the Bhagavad Gita, which is an essence of the Upanishadic knowledge. And what is the knowledge of the Upanishads is of Brahma Vidya. And what is this Brahma Vidya? It is a yoga shastra. It is a science of reaching the supreme reality. And this Shastra has been presented in the form of a dialogue between Bhagavan Shri Krishna and Arjun. Never think it was a dialogue between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. It was a dialogue between Bhagwan and Arjun. Samvada, where Arjun surrendered as a disciple, agreed that he had no answer, knew that Bhagwan would give him the correct answer. So all these factors come in Samvada when you're having a dialogue. Or you can have a discussion where both are equal. A discussion, by the way, happens in two equal people, but they have different views. So he's expert in his view, he's expert in his view, and they say, let us have a discussion to say which view is correct. Jalpa and Vitanda are of no good. In one, the person is only trying to prove his point. In one, the person is only trying to oppose the other person. So that is no good. Vada and Samvad is okay. And then Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama, and it is the first chapter. So by Gurudev's grace and blessings, we have completed the study of the first chapter. The mission protocol, Gurudev has said the protocol that once we finish studying, we chant the first verse again to indicate to us that the studies are not over. It's not like, oh, geez, it's finished now, let me just file the book away. No. So I will chant the first verse, then we will take questions, any questions, and we'll just talk about a couple things that I have to. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha. Atha Prathamodhyayah. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvat Sanjaya. So, are there any questions? Yes.
Jayaji, the last the ending verse that we were discussing, you were talking about the Samvada as a discussion where Krishna is actually advising and Arjuna has surrendered himself. So the way it is described here is Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, not Arjuna Krishna Samvade. Is that something to do with Samvada where they are indicating that Krishna is advising Arjuna? Is nothing like that. Okay. It is just because it is Lord Krishna Bhagavan who's talking. That's why it's Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade.
Yeah. It is to tell us that the dialogue was between Arjun and Krishna, or Krishna and Arjun, and not Sanjay and Dhritarashtra.
Okay.
Because people might misunderstand.
Also,
because all you're seeing is Sanjay Vacha and Dhritarashtra Vacha, right? So.
Right. Also, the names were name of each of the chapters were also devised by Madhusudan.
Yeah.
All of those. Okay.
Yeah. Because Bhagwan is not going to say this is chapter 1 over, this is Vishad, your Vishad, now I'll start. No. That's why I told you the 700 verses are just one after the other. Even in Narad Bhakti Sutra, Gurudev has made all those, if you read Gurudev's commentary, Gurudev has done all those subheadings and all. There is no such subheadings in Bhagavad Puran. Bhagavad Puran, 84, those aphorisms, they're just one after the other.
Oh. Jayaji, I know you will explain this, but and you have also talked about this. But what does Sankhya Yoga mean? I mean, if it is not relevant.
Chapter 2.
Okay.
Sankhya Yoga in Bhagavad Gita, it means Buddhi Yoga or Jnana Yoga, but Sankhya school also is there, of Sankhya school of philosophy, and that's different.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll explain that in this thing.
Thank you, Jayaji.
Ask your question.
Yeah, Narayanji has a question. I don't know who else. Okay,
I have a question.
I don't know.
Can you hear me, Trupti?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I have a question because in last class we had this that you were talking about Shraddha. So I wanted to ask, this Shraddha is can be done as a ritual, and Karmakand. I mean, it comes under the form of Karmakand, right? So is it important for us to really do that Karmakand, or is it just I mean, sometimes we just do it mentally, but is it important for us to do the actual ritual?
See, the thing is that traditionally, uh, I know people of old school. I know my mom. She did it for her mother throughout till she died. My mother did it. Okay, I am the first one. I feel now. This is my understanding. The first anniversary is very important. Should be done if it's possible. And now in India also, in our temple, like we belong to Goa Mangeshi temple, that is our Kula Devata, Mangeshi, which is Lord Shiva. They are doing for all the people.
Okay.
So even for my own dad, my mother asked me to write to them. We give them our gotra and all the information, and they were sending prasad every year. But now, as generations go forward, right now, my mom also is not there, and I have not done that for my mom. But of course, every anniversary, of course, I mean, sometimes I feel my mom's photo is right here in my study, right? So, do I really need an anniversary to remember my mom? Every
No,
day I remember.
what I actually wanted to know is like even just after death, when we do the ritual
Ah,
of the pind, so
yeah,
is it
that is
necessary to do that?
necessary. That, yes, that what Shastra says.
Okay.
Okay, that one, because I had asked about that to Swami Ishwananda. What Shastra says is that the Jivatma remains in that house for 13 days.
Okay.
That I have done for both my parents and my husband as well. So those rituals are necessary right after death. And that 13th day ceremony is when the Jivatma leaves the house. And
Yeah.
therefore this pind, so it is, the significance is that you're packing food for the journey of the Jivatma.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I know, but like my parents, they didn't want us to do those rituals. So
yeah,
I was under the thing that should
yeah.
we do or should we not do?
It's what you believe. You know,
Okay.
it's what your belief is. And I'll tell you one more thing. In Kashi, Banaras, you can actually do your own Shraddha before you die. And yeah, that someday I would like to do it for myself, but I don't know now with COVID. I don't know when I'm going to be there. So it can be done. Um, you know, it's like now somebody like me, my children have grown up here, right? So tradition, if
They
they
don't
do,
do
they
it.
do.
Yeah.
If they don't, they don't. But I have done it in front of them, and I have told them that this is important. Dad believed, because honestly, my daughter said, my son didn't say anything. My son said, Mom, just tell me what to do and I'll do. My daughter said, Mom, it's okay if you believe, you know, I'll come, because she had to come from New York. I said, no, Dad believed, and this all will be done, and you have to come. So
Yeah.
take your pick, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But when a person who himself, I mean, like my mom,
Yeah.
she was a very devoted to giving,
Tantric.
but
Yeah.
she didn't want to do the Shraddha Shani,
Yeah.
probably because she knew that the sons and they don't believe. That's
They
why.
don't believe.
Yeah,
Possible.
yeah,
Possible. Possible. But it is for the jiva. It has to be remembered that this is done for the jivatma. And if you believe that the jivatma is there in the house, then you will do it.
yeah.
Whether they believed it or not. See, it is one thing they saying something, but what is your belief?
Okay, right.
What is your belief? So, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Narayanji
Jaya
had a question. 1 minute. Narayanji had a question.
And two, one is a request for the chart, the book that you shared on the screen.
Yeah. I have kept it for you. This one, na. I
Yes.
have kept it for you, but I have to bring that Pushpanjali book, and then I'll WhatsApp Prem Sai.
And
I have this book at home, but you
yeah.
wanted the Pushpanjali as well, right?
If you could also include along with them, the Manana series that you said, I think, Mananam series.
No, Mananam series we don't sell. You have to subscribe to them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we don't. No. I have a few. If you want, I can send them to you. I have a few books, but they were printed in India. But the Mananam series, the latest one is on immortality, which I'm reading. I've gotten it. I don't subscribe, so I don't get them. But I have that from Mrs. Kapai. Mananam, I don't know. Pushpanjali and these two books I will send you, but I'm waiting to get the Pushpanjali from the ashram.
Thank you. The question that I had was, you talked about this, that different view or the modernized view of Swamini and the book. What are your views right now as is applicable to the North America environment? I just wanted to get a little more clarification on that one.
Okay, you know what? We'll talk about it next class, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
We're
sure.
coming to 10:10 because I don't know, is Dinesh here? So we may have to close because there's one more question here.
Yes, I have. Sugita and Rachna both have questions, and I'm here.
Okay, so who was first, Rachna or Sugita? Rachna, were you first?
I don't know. I just raised my hand.
Okay, tell me.
Okay.
Ask me.
Okay. Thank you, Jayaji. I just wanted to ask, you were mentioning that now in Kashi, a person can do their own Shraddh, like in my own lifetime. I didn't know that. So if the person does that, does it absolve the children? Like I do my own Shraddh and I've passed away.
Yes,
so what
yes.
happens? Do my children have to do it? Or I know it's their
that's
sweet
how
will.
only we do it. That's why if I do my own Shraddha, then nobody else has to do it for me. That's why for a sannyasi, when they give sannyas diksha, they too have to do their own Shraddha. When you get orange, when you go from yellow to orange, they do therefore when the sannyasi passes, there is no more Shraddha for him because already it has been done. He has done it himself.
Okay, thank you,
the whole
Jayaji.
idea of doing it yourself, then your children you don't have to worry. You know, if we are a great believer in Shraddha, do it yourself and go before you go. Then nobody else has to do it for you.
Thank you, Jayaji.
Yeah. Yes, Sugita, you had a question? Yeah, one sec.
I'm just, since you said that Duryodhana was talking with this tamasic.
You have to speak loudly, Sugita. I can't hear you.
Duryodhana was speaking in a tamasic.
Rajasic, Duryodhan Rajasic.
Rajasic intentions, and then it was like unintentional or intentionally he was talking all over, and then suddenly Bhishma started
Blowing the conch.
he blow the conch. So is that means he is whereas Pandava was supposed to blow the conch, is that means the Bhishma sides the Pandava? Supporting the Sattvic gun, and he is blown.
No. Don't take it like that. The idea is that because Duryodhan was going on talking, and of course Bhishma Pitama knows that this is all wrong, he wants to stop him.
Oh, okay.
That's all. He wants to, you know, like when honestly, my mother she used to not say anything. She used to make her eyes big and look at us. That means we knew we had spoken out of turn when we were small. So that is what it is. There he couldn't, even if he would have made his eyes big, Duryodhan would have gone talking. So he just blew his conch that way.
Sure, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Dharam Bharadwaj. Yes, Dharamji, you had a question?
Yes. Just a quick question on the Shraddha again. After last week, there was agitation and restlessness. The Manam did not resolve, meaning that it appears that the so-called remembrance of ancestors and the rituals around it are more leaning towards preservation of identity, whereas my focus has been on dissolution of identity. So, you know, the past has been, how to put it, you know, it's not sorrowful, but a lot of calamities and so on. So the desecration of the so-called Brahmin family has already happened. So now to revive some ritual for that.
No. It is not a question of revival or anything. You have to remember that you are a product of your ancestors. You are even here trying to gain liberation because your ancestors were there. That you cannot deny.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Identity or no identity, whatever identity, you are very fortunate. If you didn't have this human body, you would not even have been trying to reduce your identity. And you have that body because of your ancestors, that you have to give them. Parents, that is the debt that every child has to the parent, that they have given us the body. Jivatma, they have not given us. Jivatma cannot be created, but the body had to be created, right? For the Jivatma to live. And so that is the debt that a child owes his parents. That's why that debt never ends till the parents go away. But to your children, there is no debt.
Okay.
That is where people make a mistake. They think not only that I owe my children, I also owe my grandchildren, because I have to now look after that grandchild. That is my duty. That is the mistake. Parents, no. The debt never ends, because your body, as long as your body is there, your debt is there. Your body ends before them, then finish, then debt is finished.
Thank you for this.
Okay, yeah. Any other questions? Yes, Sujata. Dinesh, is it okay if we go a little bit over?
Yeah, we have probably 1 or 2 minutes. We can go. 10:30 is when the next class starts.
Okay, so about 10:25. Okay. Yes, Sujata.
Yes. Yeah, just one question. Like, we are gradually, like when we are doing the VCM also, and we are understanding that the Jivatma is nothing but Brahma. It's like, the self is the Brahma. That's at least the theoretical knowledge we are getting. Doing all these rituals of Shraddha and all these things to provide for food, what does that signify? When you know that you're Jivatma and you are part of the Paramatma, you are just going back into the Paramatma. Why do we need to do Shraddha? Why do we need to provide food? We should be happy that they have gone back to the Paramatma.
Yeah. But the thing is that we only, like you said, we have a theoretical knowledge that we are Paramatma. When you finally realize all this thing doesn't matter. But as long as, see, you are still thinking you're the body. We are studying Vivek Chudamani, we are studying Gita, that's okay. But then as long as you are still thinking, you're bound by it. When you finally realize, then the bondage is no more. That's what we say, freedom from bondage. This is the bondage. But we are dreaming still. So in the dream, when the tiger is chasing me, definitely I'm going to keep running. That's the bondage. That the running is the bondage. So, but I'm dreaming. So until I wake up, I will keep running from the tiger. So you wake up first, your running will stop automatically. It'll be automatic.
These rituals are part of that bondage, is it?
Yes.
Doing these rituals and everything.
Yes. It is part of the fact that I think I'm the body. That's why I'm the child. That's why I have to do this duty, even duty, part of this thing it is. But it has to continue because I'm still in my dream. So the tiger is still chasing me. So I have to keep running. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up to your real self. You will not have to ask this question. You will automatically drop everything. So anyway, coming back, Gurudev has stayed with Mr. and Mrs. Kapai. Gurudev always stayed with them when he was in Vancouver. And then when these young Swamijis also started coming, most of them have stayed with Mr. and Mrs. Kapai. And then when Gurudev came, there was no, in those days, no diet chart. Now when Swamijis come, the diet chart comes first. And in the diet chart, no onion, no garlic, and Mrs. Kapai, I mean, she's now 95, right? And just about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, all these young Swamijis were coming, and she asked me, she said, previously Gurudev used to come, we never got a diet chart and all that. Now this huge diet chart is coming before Swamiji arrives, and no onion and no garlic, and don't do this and don't do that. Arey Baba, somehow the diet charts are out of this. I mean, I know because now they're staying with me. That's why she said, now you keep them. So you do your diet chart. So the point is what I told her was, see, Gurudev was realized. You have to remember that. Okay. He has gone beyond. Garlic and onion is to be avoided because garlic creates tamas in the mind and onion creates rajas in the mind. Now, the person who has transcended the gunas, Gurudev has gone beyond sattva, rajas, tamas. You give him a tamasic thing, what does it matter to him? You give him a rajasic thing, what does it matter to him? He would eat sambar. He never bothered. Is there onion in this sambar? Is there this in this sambar? Nothing. He never bothered. But he had realized, whereas the Swamijis that come, they are trying to go beyond the gunas. So when you're trying to go beyond the gunas, you must avoid foods that will create rajas and tamas in your mind. And that is the reason why onion and garlic is avoided. And of course, there are others who have health issues, and they're on Ayurvedic medication. And then Ayurveda prevents them from this thing. But Mrs. Kapai, being old school, she just very simply, she said, wondered, Gurudev to koi diet chart nahi aata tha. Abhi ye kyun aa raha hai? You know, why is this diet chart? It's huge. Swamiji arrives later, diet chart by email, boom. That is who is staying. This is his diet chart. That comes first. So that is how it is. Once you transcend, nothing applies. Because there is no father, there is no mother, there is no ancestor. Once you transcend though, as long as you don't, you have your ancestry, you have your progeny, you have everything. Then you have to follow the rules. Remember, as long as you're dreaming, you better keep running from the tiger, because that tiger is going to eat you. You better run. Nothing, but Mrs. Kapai has Gurudev's blessings with her. She has served Gurudev directly for a number of years, and that shows. That shows when she says everybody has to die someday. I hope he does not suffer. And that's where you can tell. That's why I told you, those who have gone through Vedanta, their outlook towards life is extremely different than people who have not gone through Vedanta. That is the importance of this knowledge. Okay, so with that, we shall close.